Is this your first podcast?
First.
I feel like I've been a lot of people's firsts, not in anything else other than podcasts. All right, guys, welcome back. Hello, everybody. Just gonna introduce you. This is Lisa. Is it Capri or Caprice? Or am I fucked it up completely?
It's Caprio.
Caprio. I keep thinking Capri for some reason. Maybe I'm just obsessed with the Ford. I don't know.
Oh, or the island of Capri.
True. This is like a funny little one. Recently, you've just decided to be a free bird. You were in the rejuvenating space.
Regenerative.
What's the difference?
Well, regenerating means that you're going backwards in time, so to speak. And you're putting into the body things that you used to have when you were a lot younger to regenerate new cells.
And rejuvenating is more just getting energized, I guess.
Yeah.
Now I say it out loud, it makes sense.
Yeah, I think regenerative connotates more of action-based.
Get real close to it.
Where rejuvenating is...
So close you're kind of semi-uncomfortable because it's right in your face.
All right. Yeah. How's that?
Beautiful.
Okay.
There we go. So regenerative space. Because that's to do with like... The only thing I understand with regenerative is the increasing in telomeres.
Okay.
Because that something to do with, you know what, rather than me try and guess, can you explain what telomeres are and how they grow?
Yes.
It's easier you do it.
Telomeres are on the ends of all of our cells, and they are important for cell replication. So when you talk regenerative medicine, we're trying to cellular replicate on the basis that you did when you were a baby. So when you were a baby in mama's womb, you had major regenerative properties and capabilities because of the telomeres on the ends of all of your cells. So within 9 months, you grew to be a complete person. The reason that happened was there were all these growth factors and all these cellular modulators that were in your mother's umbilical cord. It came through the blood, and it also came through a substance called Wharton's jelly. So Wharton's jelly is this gelatinous type substance in all umbilical cords. And then when you go and your mama has you, they usually throw out the umbilical cord with the placenta. But what they've been doing for years, and now legally, there are companies that will actually ask the mother to donate the umbilical cord, and the company will take the Wharton's jelly or the gelatinous type substance from that cord, and they'll extract it. Because when you extract it, you have live tissue and live cells. The most that any human can possibly have is in that umbilical cord. So the companies take this and they take it back to their labs and they clean it and they basically test it for any kind of genetic abnormalities or any kind of infectious disease. And these cells are still alive in the process. So then they freeze them at about -60. And then they sell them to practitioners. And then we, as a practitioner, would take that substance and we can inject it into your body pretty much anywhere. And we can stimulate your telomeres to grow.
Okay. So is that what stem cell research is?
Yes.
Okay. So it's not really like people just killing babies like
No.
the media or I guess the
No.
narrative is gone.
But it is very, very highly regulated by the FDA. And just last year in 2021, the FDA came down with some very, very harsh regulations. So truly, you will never hear me say the word stem cell.
Yeah.
And you'll never see it in print on a website or any marketing. But in a nutshell, that's the basis behind regenerative medicine, is allowing your body to regenerate on its own by giving you growth factors.
Yeah, it makes sense because you just see as people get older, they don't rejuvenate as quick. And like you can keep yourself young with exercise, weight bearing, blood flow, all that stuff helps. But that there definitely seems to be a movement now with the ability to grow your telomeres. I've heard like hyperbaric chamber does that.
Yeah, there's all different modalities to regenerate your body. It's not just stem cells. There's hot and cold therapy. There's
Is that so that's like sauna to ice bath?
right. Right. There's fasting.
I need an ice bath.
Just fasting can actually grow your telomeres.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, good. I do that till midday by accident every day.
Yeah.
I'm like an accidental
Accidental
faster.
Yeah. Fasting definitely will grow your telomeres. And it's not really growing your telomeres per se. That's one of the processes. It's actually stimulating your mitochondria. So your mitochondria are those cellular respiration centers in every cell in your body. And we need our mitochondria. So what we want to try and do is stimulate mitochondrial growth. And you can do that with a plethora of modalities. Hyperbaric, ozone, fasting, ice cold, ice hot, all sorts of cryotherapy, exercise, meditation, yoga. We can get really, really technical about
all of those sound like
regenerative.
they were very closely linked with oxygenating the blood.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
like even meditation, it forces us to slow down our breathing.
Yes.
First, yoga, same thing in some aspects. Not hot yoga, but so yeah, it's promoting blood flow, oxygenating the blood, and because hyperbaric chamber, that's just like an intense amount of oxygen in the chamber.
It is under high pressure. But you're from Australia, and if you travel around the world, there's people doing all sorts of different regenerative therapies. There's walking through forests in Japan. There's forest bathing is what they call it.
Forest bathing.
Yeah, I don't know the Japanese word for it, but it's translated to forest bathing. And what that is actually walking in the forest, because the biome of the forest, when it meets our microbiome of our skin, our gut, our lungs, we coexist. And we actually can balance ourselves and release stress hormones and come into one with nature. And it all gets down to energetic balance. So so you can regenerate without me touching you. You don't need me as a practitioner, which is probably what prompted me to get out of the whole space.
Yeah.
Was I really my passion lies in empowering people, and I realized I don't want to take care of people. I want to empower people, and I'm not doing that as a physician.
Yeah, we'll come back to that in a second for sure. The forest thing's got me. You've piqued my interest. So is that similar to like I always walk barefoot everywhere as much as I can. Concrete doesn't do anything, but walking, like, especially Americans seem like, when you talk about it, but I'm like, I'll walk barefoot in grass, dirt. And there is that feeling of being grounded. And it sounds hokey pokey if you don't really try it. Like we're so used to putting stuff on our feet. They talk about negative ions. And I mean, I don't know all the technical part of it. The problem is a lot of the technical part usually ends up going a bit hokey pokey as well. Sometimes it loses me.
Well, we're charged. So we're charged beings, right? We're energetic beings.
Yeah.
0.00001% of us is matter. The other 99.99999% of us is space and vibrating. So all of our atoms are vibrating, and they're charged. And there's certain things that can charge us positive, and there's certain things that will bring us down to negative. So what you want to be a completely balanced, energetic being is you want to be neutral, right? Mm-hmm. So pretty much everything in our daily life is charging us to the positive. So when you take your shoes off, when you walk on the grass, or you walk on the water, because I know you're like Jesus, right? You walk on water. When you walk on the beach, so water is one of the best conductors of ions. So now you're getting super grounded. And what happens is the positive charges in your body, they become grounded as they leave you and go into the earth. So if you want to think of the earth as one huge grounding plate, that's what it is. So
makes
it really
sense.
does make perfect sense.
Yeah. And you can see that, I mean, it's, if you take away the bugs and, you know, everything else that people are like, ugh, about being in nature, most people want to be in nature, you know? But I think if you're also too much in nature, you've got too much negatives that you need to be, you know, there's a weird balance. It'd be similar to working out. You can't, if you don't lift weights, you're weak. If you lift too many weights, you're weak. So it's that
Yin and yang.
yin
It's
and
the
yang, yeah,
balance.
of you lift them, you put them back down, you rest, you lift them, you put them back down. It'd be the same, because I know, I mean, the idea of even being in nature for a week, I couldn't do it. It'd be too much. But I love going out and just being in nature barefoot for like a day or two. Not so much America nature, just because there's too many things that can kill you here. Everyone thinks Australia is crazy. We're not. You know, I tell everyone, you've got bears, you got things that will eat me from the ass up if I'm alive, if I'm still alive. You don't have that in Australia. You know, you've got maybe some spiders, but, you know, whatever. You got snakes, whatever. But you guys have like, yeah, wild boars, bears,
Yeah.
and then gators everywhere.
You know, the wonderful part about conversation is listening. And I'm listening to you. And your belief system is just fascinating.
What, that Australia, America's crazier than Australia?
Well, just, yeah, what you think could actually be part of your reality is not part of my reality at all.
Hey, you can't deny that there's going to be bears somewhere. You know, they exist.
They do, but they're not always malevolent. Some of them are nice.
It's good, but I don't want to. I don't speak Baronese, and I don't want to be like, "Excuse me, can I be trusted with you?" Like I mean no harm, because if it thinks it, I mean I'm not outrunning that thing.
Yeah,
I like to look at them from a distance.
You definitely have to respect nature, right?
Yeah.
The plant world, the animal world. You have to respect nature.
Yeah.
But I think most people love nature because it resonates at our basic frequency.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Well, when you look at nature, let's take, for instance, the birds that I heard this morning. There's all different birds in my yard. They're never singing out of tone. There's never a frequency that's off. Everything is in harmony and in balance with the birds, the trees, the grass. Everything is perfect as it is, just because it is. And when we get into that resonant frequency of just being, I think that's where we exist. We coexist with nature. When we're not lording over nature, we're not out there pulling weeds, and we're not making it into what we think it should be. We're actually just allowing it to be, and we get into resonant frequency with that.
Nature is chaos, though.
For short periods of time, just like you said, you know, things
true.
come back into balance.
Balance on a macro level. But I don't know, I've seen, I mean, even just the other day, could you imagine walking down the street and then all of a sudden there's giant snakes coming at you? Like this poor little lizard I saw on the you know, you're just minding your own business looking for a bug to kill, and now you're the prey. Then you got like plants are vicious things, you know, like they will not only kill each other for territory, but they'll also kill insects or, you know, have different defense mechanisms. Like, I don't know, because I've had this conversation with Stace a couple of times, because everyone perceives nature as blissful and, you know, poetic in a way. And it is. Like, you know, we've evolved in it, but man, it's chaotic. And man, it's ruthless. It is like...
From your perspective. From its perspective, it's self-protection. So plants put off, you know, foreign chemicals and things that will kill predators in order for it to survive. But there you're taking on the worldview of survival of the fittest, which I don't adhere to that anymore. I have a different worldview.
What's that worldview?
Coexistence. Balance. I don't have to fight for my place in the sun anymore. Everything already is.
But isn't that also because of the society that humans have been able to create?
Yes.
Because it's you take, like, I mean, COVID proved to us that we are on a thin veil of not chaos. take away electricity for a couple of months. Within a couple of days, I think people would start going nuts. How quickly do people start fights over toilet paper?
Yeah, COVID was definitely a trigger.
It was an eye-opener.
That revealed a lot of what's inside of people.
Yeah.
It was a trigger.
And it's survival, it's fear, and it's you can blame people outside, but the second you take away that thin veil of support that society has created, we go back animalistic very quickly. I even said to my wife, like, when things were nuts, and I was like, it was at the beginning, it was feeling like, this could be Armageddon style. Like, it was so early on. It was like, all right, there's a lot going on. Is this the demise of the society we know? And it is in Australia. I go to my wife, I'm like, I think I could kill someone if we had to. She's like, thanks. And I was like, just saying, I'm just writing out the possibilities. But I've never thought that before. But it was more like that survival thing came in. I was like, all right, if I had to, I will. And I'd never had that thought because I'd been supported by a thin veil of protection that we are so pleasantly put into because of, one, how many humans there are, and two, the structures that are put in place. And in nature, there's none of that.
Right.
None of that.
See, in nature, there's no conditioning.
What do you mean by conditioning?
What is just is.
Yeah.
With humans, we have self-awareness. We have the capacity to judge. We have the capacity to imagine. And with that comes judgment. With that comes an indictment on what actually is. So there is no neutrality with humans because of conditioning. So you sort of have to uncondition yourself to actually see what is what is.
Yeah. Kerwin Ray puts that, how does he go? Like, good and bad doesn't exist in nature. It just is.
Correct.
Like, if humans were to go like that, like, we've disappeared.
Correct.
Nature goes, okay.
Right.
It's the human ego, and ego is a vast thing. Ego is not the negative part. Ego is just
I believe ego is
us.
the created identity that we each create based on our conditioning.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And the example he uses, like, you see a gazelle get, like, taken down by a lion. Our ego or human condition goes, oh, that poor gazelle. Most of us. Other people will be like, oh, cool, because they see it from the view of the lion. Whereas the reality is, one, nature's just like, okay. But two, if that gazelle wasn't caught, then the lion goes hungry and maybe can't feed its cubs. They die. And if the gazelle gets away, the lion, the gazelle's happy because it's survived. But unfortunately, it doesn't matter in that example alone. If there was no potential for the gazelle to get caught later or the lion to catch another one later, in that moment, there is no survival of both. But, like, one will die no matter what in that small microcosm of space. And that's nature. And
even the word die has a certain judgment to it. So why is death a sacrifice? What if it just is? Like, who says that living is good?
I don't know. I kind of like it.
Yeah, you like it because it's a great experience at times.
Yeah.
But for nature, it just is what it is.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, the grain of sand doesn't care if it's getting tossed about by the water. It just is a grain of sand. It's living out its purpose. So, we attach purpose. We attach all of our illusions to what we think things should be. And when you just allow all of those illusions to fall away and detach, what you'll find is that everything is just as it's supposed to be. And there's peace in that because we aren't separate from any of it. And therein lies the problem.
The problem?
The problem of thinking that there's something wrong with the oneness of the universe, of everything that is we're stepping aside, removing ourselves from the oneness, the unity of all of it, and judging it instead of being part of it. So people are looking for a purpose, right? Like, what's my purpose? What if the purpose of life is just life itself?
I'd say it would depend on the person, though. Because something like, I mean, I'm motivated by movement. I love it, you know? That if I was just to be, I'd be miserable. Because I've done that, and yeah, it was one of those things where it take away, like, I guess, a cushion of financial comfort. Just being doesn't feed my family. Cool, we can say that's part of the system we're in or whatever it is. But I mean, like, look, the other solution is communism, and that's not a solution either. You know, there's always going to be trade in a way with humans. It's just how it is.
Yeah, we function on energetic pendulums.
Yeah. And yeah, I found it because my wife used to be kind of like that too. She's like, oh, I'm just going to just be. You know, I'm just going to like a very what is it? It's tantric in a way. And for people listening, tantra is not just sex. That's like the one component that got blown up.
It's tantric. It's zen. It's what's necessary, probably for her and for me, to get quiet and still to actually move forward in life. So you know, we're always moving, like you said, movement. Life is not static. But the problem with movement can be that you move so quickly that you forgot to stop and be still and know who you are. And I think in our culture, that's what happened. I think COVID was a wake-up moment where things came to a slow, almost halt for a lot of people, myself included. If you were to talk to me before 2020, I would not have this worldview at all. But COVID caused the frenetic lifestyle that I was living to come to a very slow, almost halt. And then I was forced to actually wonder what it was that I wanted, what it was that I like. You said you like to move. Well, I like to move too. But if you were to ask me 2 years ago, what do you like to do? I wouldn't really know what to tell you. I would have a list of things that I enjoy. But if you were to ask me, what do you want? I don't know what I want. I just do. I react.
You let everything take you rather than you figure it out.
I let life play me instead of me playing the game of life.
Yeah.
And that's what COVID did for me, is it caused enough time and space for me to learn how to navigate the limitations of this game that we're in called life.
It's definitely a game. I think that's the difference between people that feel free or at least unshackled. They both sound as corny. But that's really what they are. Is like, I know for me, same thing. I view life as a game, but not a game as in, like, people usually think that's like some sort of sociopathic puppet master mentality. Versus if you view it as a game, it makes it a little bit more fun. And it just becomes like all the actions you're doing are more like puzzle pieces.
Yes. And why shouldn't it be fun?
Yeah.
Who said it's not supposed to be fun? Right? Who made up the rules of the game?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the rules of the game are still kind of fun, though. You know, like finding out tax legal things you can do within the tax bracket. I'm like, oh, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Like, or ways in which you can negotiate and ways in which you can build different businesses. That's fun, and there's rules in that as well. But finding out because there's so many rules. There's never a rule that's taken away from law, or, you know, regulations or everything. They never take away one. They just add another one.
But who are the visionaries? They're the ones that make their own rules and break the rules.
As long as it's legal.
Yeah.
Some of them not so much.
And who gets to make the laws?
Yeah.
Right. So it's all pendulums. When I stopped long enough to realize how many pendulums I was swinging on, it was almost embarrassing and shameful to know that I didn't have my own energy. I was literally being caught up as an adherent to multiple pendulums. And that became very unsettling to me. So I took the journey within, and I started asking the questions that I never had time to ask myself.
And what were some of those questions?
Why am I here? What am I doing?
As in here in general, or
Yeah.
like here in the current?
Like, why did I even come? Like, and who am I? Like, how do I even know I is I? Right? Some real deep existential questions I was asking. A catalyst for that was my father suddenly, unexpectedly passing March 1st, 2020. That was a catalyst to really question what death was.
And you were still an anesthetist at that point?
Yeah. So anesthesiologist, that was my identity, was I was a doctor. Ever since I was old enough to remember, my parents told me that I was going to be a doctor, and my siblings too. Cultural conditioning. I never thought very much about not being a doctor.
Yeah.
I didn't know why I was supposed to be a doctor other than my parents told me to be a doctor. I knew the right answers in interviews, sailed right through the interviews, medical school, all that. Why do you want to be a doctor? To help people. That was the best coined phrase. So no, I never thought about it, but I jumped on their pendulum of status, financial security. And then I got on the pendulum of I'm supposed to get married, have kids, raise a family, have a house in the suburbs, recreate, doing the things you like to do, but that's only a small part of your life.
Yeah.
So I fell into the pendulums that other people set up for me. I swung on them. Then, you get to a point in your life where life starts to bring you catalysts that really stop the forward progression of what you think is your life. Death of somebody close to you, COVID, a global pandemic, that'll stop a lot of things. First child leaving home and going to college. So a lot of life changes made me stop and wake up.
Yeah.
Wake up to what I was sleeping. I was sleeping through life.
Yeah.
And then coming with that is that accountability. I had to stop blaming everybody else for the position I was in. I had to stop blaming my parents for being a doctor. I mean, there were so many upsides to it. I don't regret any of it, but is it what I really wanted to do? I don't know. I mean, how do you do it for 3 decades and then one day ask yourself, is this what you really want to do? And that came full circle to me literally just a couple weeks ago, where I could not run away from my heart any longer.
Yeah.
I had it in a box for so long that my mind was keeping it trapped. I had all the justifications of why I am living the life I'm living. And they were all good reasons. They were all very, very good reasons, according to everybody else. But I wasn't being honest with myself. So that's what started this whole unravel of coming clean.
Yeah. And that's a hard one to come to as well, particularly when you've got all those build-ups of, this is what is normal, or this is what you should do. Obviously going into parenthood for myself, it's more responsibilities, and maybe having, and that usually ends up trapping you as well, because you need to have a safety net. You need to make sure you can provide for them because of whatever reasons you've got. So sounds like having did you say it was your firstborn that's now out? So there's still a few, but at least you're in a position now where it's like, all right, we're fine. You don't have to worry too much about their future in like a Armageddon mentality sort of way that we're built. So that sounds like it was something that made you probably have some of that pressure lift off your shoulders a little bit with, I have to make sure that I'm still making the money and providing. Would you say that was like the biggest thing, or was there something else that was just a a couple of the things?
It was another identity I took on. It was another mask I was wearing. I was mom,
Yeah.
right? So mask of doctor, mask of wife, mask of mom, mask of daughter, mask of equestrian. So all of the things that I did were who I thought I was. So when life started chipping away at the identities, I started to really panic. Who was I? If I'm not, taking my daughter to a rodeo every weekend and barrel racing with her, who am I?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I go back to work on Monday. I'm an anesthesiologist. Oh, yeah. Phew, feel a little safer doing that. Now I have an identity.
Yeah. So you weren't really, it wasn't like you were looking forward to Monday
Well, believe it or not, I actually did very much enjoy what I did because I was very good at it. And that was another justification to keep doing it because I was so good at it. And I believe I was good at it because, so I think we come into this incarnation with scripts, right? So you asked me whatever questions I was asking. Why am I here? I don't know. I must have picked my parents on some kind of, pre-incarnated plan, and the script was grossly written. I was to be born into Indian parents who came to America as immigrants. I was to be conditioned by them. And then once you get here and you become self-aware at some point, age 3, 4, 5, you learn your name, you learn what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do, then you start taking on your ego identity. So that became who I was in the script. It wasn't until recently that I realized I can actually change the role that I'm playing. Changing the script is nearly impossible. It's like looking in the mirror and trying to put the lipstick on the image on the mirror.
Yeah, okay.
You got to change the person, right? So I started thinking, well, I certainly can't change the script I'm in because I'm miserable. Although most people would look at my life and say, how the hell can she be miserable?
People always like that though.
But
so
I was miserable.
Celebrities still have drug problems,
Yeah. So I started thinking, well, what if I were to change the role that I play in the script? So I started playing with my energy, and I started playing with my intention. And I started doing a really deep dive into quantum physics.
Quantum physics?
That changed my entire world view. I went from thinking that there was something outside of me determining reality to actually truly believing that I control, shape, and create my own reality.
Yeah.
Entanglement theory.
Yeah. Sort of that law of attraction thing as well. Like you can guide your where you want to go, or you can be guided.
Yes. So Nikola Tesla said, if you want to discover the secrets of the universe, think energy, frequency, and vibration. And that was way back when, the 1900s, right? And look what was discovered since then. So yes, I started to really take a deep dive into quantum. And I started to realize frequencies, vibration, intention. I was conditioned by Newtonian physics to believe that matter creates consciousness, when in actuality, it's been proven that consciousness creates matter. So the whole building block of the universe is actually consciousness. And we are each outpockets or holograms or fractals of a universal consciousness. So all that is, I don't know what you want to call it. If you call it God, it triggers some people because of religion. I like to say all that is God is expressing through my human form. So what's the purpose of my life? To allow the expression of all that is through my humanity.
Okay.
Whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
In any given moment. Because there is no linear time. There's no past, present, or future. There's just now.
Yeah.
And that's been proven too.
Yeah. Well, we're probably in a, what is it? Shit, I'm mixing up the words now.
We're in a multiverse.
We're definitely in something like that. We're definitely in something that is, I mean, and I've said this on the podcast a million times before, nothing makes sense if you just think about it. And so for us to make sense of everything is just kind of arrogant. 200 years ago, if I told you that I could, there'll be the way in which I could film something and you can watch it on the other side of the world, they're going to go, you're a fucking idiot. Or if I told you even stuff that was already there, which is, there's this thing that comes from the sun, you can't see it, but if it hits you, it breaks down things in your body that you don't even know exist yet. They're called cells, but you don't know what those things are. And, that's called ultraviolet light. People are like, you're an idiot. Mm-hmm. So to say that we know that we're the only thing is ignorant and arrogance combined. But also, I don't know, like, we can hear your phone. Your popularity.
Because what can the mind know? The mind can only know what it has learned from the past.
Yeah.
But we are connected to infinite intelligence through our right hemisphere of our brain. So, in the alternative space that's all around us, right? Everything is space, is information.
Yeah.
So, for instance, let me ask you a question. Do you remember the day your son was born?
Daughter. And yes.
Daughter.
I also filmed it, so it makes it easier to remember.
Okay. But when I have you think of that moment, how are you able to retrieve that memory?
So I kind of know a lot of this stuff as well. Like, your memories, the longer they develop, the less true they become.
But where is it?
Somewhere.
Is it in your brain?
I believe so.
Okay, so if I were to do an autopsy on your brain and cut it open, there's actually no memories in your brain.
Yeah, it's a multitude and a collection of electronic pulses.
Your brain's the receiver. Your brain is transmitting. It's a channel that's pulling that memory from the alternative space. That memory is an address, just like an IP address. That memory is in the space. So your brain can trigger a memory by an address, by a thought, by a word, by a smell. So if you look at our senses, we're just a living transmitter for
a lot of people say
for
that
information.
Before. Well, you think of dreams. We go to bed, you wake up, you live a different life in your head. Wake up, when we walk along, like, oh, that was normal. Like we sort of just fob off dreams like it's nothing, but it's like you just went somewhere else. Now, we can't explain that.
I believe dreams are as real, quote unquote real, as what we call reality. I think the difference is our mind is out of the picture in a dream. So our mind is asleep so that our soul or imagination can go places, can dream, and be unencumbered and uninhibited by the mind. When you awake and you're online, you're conscious, you now have shut down to a certain extent the imagination or the soul.
Yeah.
So we coexist in waking and sleeping states, but nothing is less real than anything else. So everything exists.
Well, you think your body has a physiological response to your dreams. Like, I love zombie apocalypse dreams. I don't know why. Maybe I should explore that. But I'll frequently, usually in like stressful times in my life, my brain goes to zombie apocalypses, and I love it. I don't know why. Like, my body reacts to it. Like, my heart rate increases. I've got that adrenaline rush.
Right. Because you're experiencing it. Right?
Yeah. So. And then I wake up and I get to the point because I want to go back in.
The subconscious believes everything is real.
Yeah.
It doesn't know the difference between dream and awake.
Yeah.
So and it's the importance that we put on things. I mean, we think that waking is the most important. We even think that life has to be so important. Like there's so much importance on events and on everything. But when you take more of a playful attitude of, I came here to celebrate. My soul came and I'm here to experience, have fun, make it an adventure, play the game But actually, when you start to realize you're the player and you're not being played, then it becomes super fun because now you've mastered it.
Yeah. Well, it's all how you perceive stuff too. You know, like I've shifted how you can speak to someone and perceive how they're saying something as one way, and then I mean, you watch back in third person on a recording, you're like, what the fuck? I do not remember it sounding like that. Or I don't remember saying it like that way. You know, like you think you're being funny, and then you listen back, you're like, ooh.
Yeah. So perception is what is going through your filter.
Yeah.
It's what is going through my filter. So it always is going to be different because we have different filters. But then there always is what is. And what is, right? Love. That's my conclusion. All that exists is love. So love is a horrible word that has been completely misused. Yes. And I've come up with a really, really good meaning for what it means to me. Love is what is. So as I sit here, my heart is beating. I'm breathing. I'm digesting my food.
The air conditioning.
My nails are growing. My hair is growing. My mouth is moving, but I'm not making it happen. There is a force of all that there is that's living life through me. And if it's beating my heart and if it's letting me breathe this perfect ratio of oxygen and nitrogen in the air, what can it be but love? Right? Well, so if love is all that there is, anything that isn't love is an illusion. It's not real. It's what we made up.
Okay. So not even hate? Hate seems pretty real sometimes.
So love can have no opposite if it's all that there is. Think about it.
Fair enough. Well, they do say that, like, what is it? Love and hate are so they're the same.
They're two ends of the same stick.
Yeah.
And that stick is God, or all that is. There's love on one polar end. There's hate or fear. It's probably a better word for it on the other end. But it's one stick. And there's dualities. And that's the whole game, is we're in a duality, because if we are all that is, if we are all a fractile of God, how would we experience anything if we didn't have duality? So like, why not just take advantage of everything? So whatever you want to call bad, if you can find an advantage in it,
yeah,
then
everything has an advantage.
Everything.
Like that, you're right about, without a duality, you can't experience the other. Like, and our brains only perceive contrast. So that's something people don't understand. I can't see a change of color without a change. You know, like, so, and we only have we've got a actually limited spectrum of change too. Because I remember there was one artwork that won a prize, and I was like, seriously, you fucking gonna do that? It was a giant white canvas, and it was 4 different types of white, but you couldn't tell the difference because it was within the limiting range that we can perceive a difference in color. So that won an award, kind of pissed me off, but I did learn something. And that was, again, everything is a perception of change. So even how we hear, how we talk, we're perceiving a change in the molecules of the air as they bang together because of the sounds coming out of our mouths.
And time is a change, perception of change.
Yeah.
We need time.
Yeah. And so,
in order to perceive change.
Yeah. And so that's what allows me to, like, ups and downs, happy, sad, you need them. And it's cool because I always focus on that saying, this too shall pass, which kind of regulates how I feel about moments, because even if I'm like, oh, this is a good place, I'm like, this will pass, you better work still, like, you just got to ride this. If it's going good, this shit's going to end at some point. End for how long? Don't know. But it kind of keeps you a little bit more level-headed. And it also, when the things are low, you're just like, nah, I'll figure it out. And the funny thing is because I have that saying, that helps my entrepreneurial, I hate that word, I work for myself. That helps that mind, because when shit's bad, I'm like, it'll pass. But people around you sometimes can't perceive that. So you're battling as well their different range of perceiving change. You know, like we've seen it right now with COVID first happened. That's how the life was always going to be. Then it ended, and we're like, now it's a recession. This is how life's always going to be.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And the ones that succeed are the ones that just like, this will pass.
Right.
And when the times are shit, they're hungrier than ever because they're like, oh, again, relative to everyone else, I've got an opportunity because everyone's scared. So yeah, there's a freedom in that duality once you address it.
There is. And there's keys to the game, right? There's keys to getting extra lives in the game. There's a couple of them.
Like a cat? You get 9 lives?
Like you get that extra life after you've been blown apart.
I was going to say, hold on.
Yeah. Yeah. So gratitude. So gratitude, I believe, might be the key to sustained happiness. So the ability to actually appreciate, love, and welcome the present moment as it is without wanting it to change is gratitude. So if you have gratitude in this moment, it's creating your very next moment, which is love, appreciation, gratitude. So you're actually forging your own future just by how you feel right now in the present. And it feels good. So there's certain emotions. So David Hawkins, have you heard of David Hawkins? So he actually quantitated the different frequency of vibrations for emotions. Love being the highest, unconditional love the highest at 500. And then the lowest one is actually apathy.
So like not feeling anything.
Yes. Unable
that
to.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Unable to move, unable to feel. So gratitude is one of the highest vibrations of frequencies of emotions. And the reason it's so high is when we vibrate on a frequency of which we are, which is pure positive energy, we're fractals of God, right? And if God and love is all there is, when you have emotions that are very close in resonance to love, appreciation, gratitude, generosity, abundance, when you have those feelings and those emotions, you are actually vibrating closest to truth. So,
but at what point does it become delusion? Sometimes I meet some people, I'm like, all right, there's positivity, but then there's also like, you need to work. You know? Like, oh, it's all gonna, you know, like when The Secret came out, everyone's meditating on stuff and they're like, I just got to believe. And it's like, you haven't left your bedroom in 6 weeks, dude. That Lamborghini's not going to turn up.
Yeah, maybe because they were focused on the stuff and not the feeling. So when you focus on the feeling of love, appreciation, and gratitude, you now put yourself into a frequency where you must call forth everything that is in that sector of the alternative space. So everything is already created. And when you drop resistance, and when you vibrate at a high frequency, you're calling forth one of those sectors of the infinite universe. There's all different sectors that could happen. You call forth whichever one you choose based on how you're vibrating or how you feel. And how you feel is based on your thoughts, emotions, and whatever emotions that you give identity and attachment to, they become beliefs. And beliefs become our reality. So why not choose those thoughts, those emotions, and those beliefs that vibrate closest to truth? Because now you've put yourself in a space of the infinite sector that will bring forth everything in that vortex for you. So like anything that you want, anything that you desire is entangled with you. That means it's already occurred in an alternative universe. You are simply calling it forth by letting go of any resistance to it. So you name me one desire that you have.
Shit. Mine's like to be the most known person in Southwest Florida, the immediate one. That's the immediate one.
So that's already happened.
Yeah, it's happening.
No, it's already happened. It's already happened. So if there's no time,
And by the way, for people listening, the goal with that is more because of I do marketing and attention is the most valuable currency. It's not a narcissistic thing. Maybe a little bit.
So you could tell me whatever your desire is. I have no judgment because it's yours.
My thing, well, the thing with that goal is everything is just the more attention you have. People associate attention with like an attention-seeking brat.
Right.
Like screaming, kicking. That's not the case. That's the worst type of attention. But attention just magnifies everything. If you're someone if you're Trump, you got a lot of attention, then you're tweeting crazy stuff as president. Some people are going to be pissed off. But then if you're a celebrity and you need something, like, hey, I'm looking for this. If you got 20,000 to 20 million eyes on you and you go, hey, I need this one thing, please, you're going to get it like that. So that's the goal behind the current one, which is in order to build what I want to build and build a business with more people, because I love also just helping build teams, because I'm like, I want to help build an environment with people that are hungry, passionate, and want to, enjoy their life simultaneously.
Is that a heartfelt desire?
Yeah. I love it. I love working with people. I don't like working on my own. I hate it.
So that heartfelt desire, when paired with your mind, which is the knowledge you've accumulated, you will absolutely call forth that goal. But you have to imagine that you're already there. So you're literally imagining the wish fulfilled. You're feeling the feelings. You're visualizing the end. When you do that, reality has to bend to conform to your inner vision. It has to. Because if it doesn't, who else is creating your reality? You're the only one. How it happens, when it happens, is what you leave up to the alternative sector. You leave that up to outer intention. You can work by inner intention, which is putting one foot in front of the other, which is sitting here with me doing a podcast, which is doing what you do during the week. That's inner intention. That's work. That's doing what you can do. But you sitting there at night in that state before you fall asleep, in the alpha state, and you visualizing the wish fulfilled, what it feels like to already be that person, that's what calls it forth from outer intention. And factors beyond your control will make it happen. You just have to pick it up. Just like go to the post office and pick up your mail, right? It's there for you. So is your goal.
So do you do that as well? Like, because manifesting, unfortunately, now again, that's been kind of like tarnished, that name's like, people kind of overused it.
Yeah.
I prefer to just be like, focus. I'm just like, what are you focusing on?
I prefer call forth my reality.
That's wordy. I like it. I'm a lazy guy though. I like to,
create my reality. What were you going to ask me? Do I do that?
Yeah. Well, what do you do? Because you mentioned doing it before bed. What is there like a time where you sort of focus on it? Because
yes,
what I did to recalibrate my thoughts with a lot of stuff was that, doing reps in a way, like we understand the body, go to the gym, lift some weights, put them back down, lift them again. But it's only now starting to be like, your brain's the same thing. It's just a matter of how many reps you've put in. So if you've repped negative stuff, that's your trained muscle in your brain. That it took me 2 years of saying a few different things, like I'm a trusted and respected leader. I'm a person who speaks with gravitas. I have to say that shit over and over again. Even especially when you're not that person, it's very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable.
You fake it till you make it.
It's like lifting, 50 pounds when you have no muscles. It's painful.
Just fake it till you make it.
Yeah. And the thing too, though, is that I've noticed when you talk about it enough, depending on who you are, again, this is where it's like delusion comes into place. When some people are like, I guess dating pools example. I'm a really good person. I just keep finding bad dudes. It's like, I think you're missing a few points. For me, it was like the more I said it, it forced me to evaluate my actions more frequently because if I'm a trusted and respected leader, all right, crazy example, say I yelled at a staff member. That feels uncomfortable because I'm like, then the next day I'm a trusted and respected leader. I'm like, hold on, I did this fucking thing yesterday. What am I doing? That doesn't fit that identity. That's what worked for me. And I'm constantly doing it again. Like right now I'm doing ones like, I'm the most known person in Southwest Florida. I am a captivating speaker. I have X amount in my bank account. Because money is just like a scoreboard. It's
an attribute.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's part of the game. It's the points in the game.
It's the effect. You're the cause. It's the effect.
Yeah, and that's how I'm recalibrating my stuff now. What do you typically do? Do you have a rhythm to it?
I started off like you with affirmations. I was flipping through my journal this morning that I started a couple years ago, and it started with affirmations. And I was faking it till I make it. And I'm actually very good at that. I can do that because in my training as a doctor, you do
condolences.
You do well. Okay, so here's the deal. You go to your 8 years of school, undergrad, medical school, 4 years. As soon as you get your degree, all of a sudden you're a doctor, but you don't know crap.
Oh, yeah.
And then they throw you into your residency July 1st, and people are calling you doctor, and you're wearing a white coat, and you're doing rounds in a hospital in a specialty that you have no freaking clue what's going on. So you learn to fake it. So I'm really good at faking it. And then when you finish your residency and you somewhat know what's going on, then you get your private practice job, and then you're on your own. And you're 28 years old, and people are calling you doctor in the community hospital. And here I am supervising nurse anesthetists in the operating room. I'm 28, and they're usually about 48 or 58. And I'm supposed to know what I'm doing. Fake it till you make it. So all my life I've been faking it till I make it. And guess what? I eventually became the height of my career, the best that I could possibly be in the community. And then I got bored, and that's why I retired. But that's another story.
Go to the peak of the mountain.
So yeah, what I do is I fake it till I make it. So I started with affirmations, and then I started to feel like, gosh, these are just hollow words. I'm not really feeling it. So that's when I started to employ the techniques of alpha state. I would actually say those things and imagine them and visualize them in an alpha state, meaning akin to sleep. What that means is you quiet the mind so that the thoughts aren't running so quickly through your head. I don't think you can ever remove thoughts completely unless you're like a master meditator. But you get into that state where you're predominantly in an alpha state where the thoughts are at bay. And then you pick up this slide. I call it a slide. It's a frame. It's a visualization of my end result, my goal. So for instance, my most recent goal that started in 2019 was I was going to get out of anesthesia. I already felt like I was a cog in a wheel. I was in an industry that I didn't believe in anymore. I started to become super interested in integrative, functional, regenerative medicine. So I started studying on my own about it. And I started seeing myself as a doctor in private practice, making my own rules, making my own money, not answering anybody, and actually helping people. So that's how I started in 2019. 2021, I retired. I was able to get out of the practice that I was in, which was phenomenal. I was in my own independent practice in town with a great orthopedic surgeon. I don't regret a day of the 20 years I spent with him. So we parted good terms. Height of my career, I could have gone and gotten any job in anesthesia anywhere. But I decided to start my own little business of regenerative medicine. So that was a goal realized, right? So then I did that for the last year. And then recently, just recently, last couple weeks, I started to get that feeling again of, this isn't resonating with me. I don't want to take care of people. People are coming to me and asking me for advice. I want them to take care of themselves. I'm tired of taking care of people. So I started visualizing in an alpha state that I would do what my heart wanted to do. And I had to really dig deep to ask what my heart wanted to do, because I always thought my heart was wanting to be a doctor. So when I really gave it a lot of, not thought, a lot of feeling, when I really let my heart come through, I had to go back to childhood before I could really remember being pressured. And I wanted to always travel. I always wanted to go places and have adventures. I always liked to talk. I liked to communicate, and I loved to write. And I loved animals. I still love animals. And I love to learn. So those are what my childhood dreams are. So I thought, well, okay, the slide I'm going to put in is I'm a world traveler. But in order to do that, I had to give myself permission to deserve that. And there's where a big block had to come down. And I had to realize I had never given myself permission to travel. I never gave myself permission to write.
So you haven't traveled much at all?
Oh, I've traveled on vacation.
Oh, yeah, that's not the same.
Not the same. I was escaping the life that I was in, right?
Yeah. You had hotels with pools and some
I was your
margaritas.
typical doctor and husband and kids vacationing for a week somewhere.
Those ones never make sense to me, because I'm just like, you're just in a different hotel. You're in the same hotel in a different location.
It was not travel.
Yeah.
So now I've given myself permission. Yeah. So when I actually let my heart out of the box, gave myself permission to want what I want, literally in a week it manifested. But I was committed to put one foot in front of the other and finish my commitment that I had made doing what I was doing. And then the outer reality conformed to my inner reality. And it all happened for me through outer intention.
Yeah. So what are your plans then with that travel?
To have no plans.
That's how I like to travel, actually. It fucks with people, though. So what, I know this is a weird question. What does no plans look like when it comes to travel for you?
There's a few places I've always wanted to go, and I could feel my heart have pangs, like when I see it in the movies or when I watch it, in a film or a magazine. I used to always think, oh, one day I want to experience that. So there's a few places I want to go to experience what that would be like. And travel for me really equates to expansion for my soul, adventure, inspiration, freedom.
Is there any places in mind that you want to visit?
Yes, I'd like to see the Greek Isles.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to see Bali. I'd like to see where you're from.
Bali is wild. It's that's where I met my wife. And Canggu's kind of gross. It was a little bit of a deflating for us, but north and south is nice. You want to stay away from Canggu. Canggu's where like all the expats are, and it's dirty. It's not Instagram Bali at all. But no, Bali's cool. Stacey and I want to go there for sure. And Bali, I was going to guess, because that's like in the realm that you're in with the spirituality and the other stuff. That seems Bali just pulls everyone there. It's a wild place.
Yeah, one thing I'm doing different with travel is that because I was always in that pendulum of being a doctor and making income, I always thought that I had to marry the two, or I had to save and then travel and save. It was always, it was very boxed in my mind for me. But when I gave myself permission to just follow my heart, I'm not thinking about monetizing whatsoever, because I completely believe that when I follow my heart, money is just an attribute. Money will come when I truly follow my heart. I have no doubt about it. I don't worry about it. I don't even think about it.
Do you have like a timeline? I know this is like opposite of what plans mean.
No.
But is there like you just sort of...
No,
what
I
happens,
have
happens?
the ability to do it now because our youngest child is going to college. So it's just my husband and I, and he's retired recently.
Yeah.
So
Less financial burden.
This is the perfect time.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't I do it? I was just myself. My
Is he
own
on board with the
conditioning.
travel stuff?
Yeah, he
That's
really
good.
is.
That makes it easier.
He's on board with everything with me. Everything. He supports me 100%, no matter what I want to do.
Yeah.
And that was a manifested relationship too.
And you said he's retired now too?
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's perfect timing. And that makes sense as well. Like, I guess even more of a burden, or I guess a mental burden of you still being at work where everyone else is, you got no kids, reliance on you now financially. And then your husband's also retired. That'd be weird going to work, I think.
Yeah,
it'd be an odd thing.
When you get older, hopefully you'll make some wise decisions financially. We made a lot of wise decisions financially, having a 2-income household. So when you've been married 20 plus years and you still like your spouse and you've made good financial decisions, the only reasons to not enjoy your life are your own self-imposed limitations.
Yeah.
Cultural and self-imposed. And when you let go of all of that and just let your heart do whatever it wants to do, I literally feel like I'm 16 again. Age is irrelevant.
You're regenerated.
I'm regenerated.
No, that's good because, I mean, a lot of people think, what do they say? The difference between rich people and poor people is poor people think money's real.
Yes.
And it's not. I think I would love if everyone could just be given money to realize how quickly they are miserable with it because it's not aligning. Like I said, money for me is a scoreboard. I love it. But that's why, I came here. When I came to America, I didn't do what I was doing in Australia because I was like, well, no, it was making me the money, but there was a lot of things missing with, it was a grind for starters. Like I was kind of collecting peanuts that I'm more prepared to go, 2 weeks without income to then have a big click for like the third week. A lot of people are not like that. They want the constant peanuts. And I also knew that, like, I know as well down the line, I want to be able to make enough money so that it's making enough money so that like all the bills are paid without having to really think. And then everything else is just play. Again, it comes back to the game. Like this podcast, it just worked well. I love chatting to people. Like if I could just go and meet with people and have coffee every single day and chat like this, I'd do it. But that eats up a lot of time and I'm not going to actually be able to make that money. So this was like that sort of synergistic thing where it was like, all right, I can, like, it's not monetized in a way, but it's a marketing tool for the stuff I really do. And I'm enjoying what I do. Again, financially, me doing this makes no sense for people. They're like, you spent what? And I'm like, And this was on a budget because I am the production company. But yeah, I wish people could make or be given a lot of money. And like, when people win the lottery and then all of a sudden they buy all this shit they think's going to be happening and they're back to zero and then like, fuck.
Yeah. Everyone has a relationship to money, just like we have relationships with people.
Yeah.
Because money is currency, right? It's a flow. So it needs to flow. It needs to come. It needs to go. And it's energetic. And your relationship to it will either bring it to you so you can keep it, use it, and give it away, or bring it to you and you hoard it. And then you're always afraid you'll run out of it. There's always different relationships to money. And money's been around since the beginning of time. Right?
What was it? Have you read the book Sapiens?
I think so.
Yeah, if you haven't...
I think you told me about
probably.
it.
I tell everyone about everything I read. I'm like if you have a good product, I am like, they say you want to find the spreaders.
Yeah.
The ones where like if they buy it or they experience it, they tell everyone.
Yeah.
I am that guy. Like you find something I like, I tell everyone. Anyway, like go to Link and have their food in Fort Myers. It's amazing. the book Sapiens goes into the hierarchy of where we, like humans by and large, the hierarchy of what we put as importance. And 1 was always money. It always has been. 2 is politics. 3 is religion.
It doesn't sapien mean to know,
To
be aware?
Something like that. Homo sapiens.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's to be, yeah.
But we've always put money at number 1 because I guess it's like we know that that's the way that we can pass through and make things happen, get what we want, get what we like, that's always been the thing that's been the most valuable for us. And then followed by politics because I guess that's society survival by and large. And that pegs into our survival. But no, yeah, just the money thing made me think of that.
I swung on the pendulum of politics and got off in 2020 after that election. I completely got off and never went back on. And it was as if I got off, and then as an observer, I was able to see how ridiculous theater it is.
Yeah, it's total distraction now.
It's total distraction.
Whenever I heard people say distractions, I was like, ugh. But 2020 election was the most obvious thing that whoever is in charge, it doesn't mean shit. Because and you look across it, it's, and the people in it, like most people voting don't realize that as well. Like they will emotionally swing depending on the topic as long as their team is winning. Because like you've got, Trump's developing the vaccine. You got the left saying, you got Biden saying, we will never make this mandatory. It is illegal to do that. And this Trump vaccine, they called it a Trump vaccine. They called it the Trump vaccine. The Trump vaccine is, it's dangerous, it's irresponsible, and it is disgusting that he's trying to lay this out so quick, untested. The guard shifts, and then all of a sudden,
mandatory.
You've got the right going, fuck Biden's vaccine, we're not going to take it. And you got them making it mandatory, saying it's proven, saying it's safe, saying that it's irresponsible not to take it, even though when they weren't wearing the jersey of the presidency, and both sides are just as guilty of it, they flipped just as hard. And no one seemed to realize that, hold on, the topic hasn't changed, but the belief on what side you are has done a 180 flip. And this is the first time as well where because our biases, our cognitive biases, cognitive dissonance has the ability to completely warp we warp our own reality with those biases. But this is the first time the internet's been around for such a polarizing election shift. And we have definitive proof of videos of people saying certain things. And if still so many people, you show them that and it's, oh, yeah, but you're like, hold on. So that's what made me just go, man, it's all a fucking joke.
It's a joke.
And if you can't laugh at it, I mean, you're going to go insane.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah, I just got off the train.
Trump's hilarious. Biden's hilarious. They're both entertaining.
It's all hilarious. It's all hilarious. And it's all a distraction from getting you to actually think for yourself. Because that's what pendulums do, is they're energetic. You get on them. And by being on a pendulum, you're unable to actually have an original thought.
Yeah.
An original thought is very dangerous for pendulum adherents and people that swing on them, and mostly for the people that start the pendulums. It's very dangerous to have people in the society be original thinkers. Why do you think Elon Musk is such a threat to the guard? Because he thinks outside the box, because he makes his own rules and he breaks the old ones.
His brain is crazy though.
But you know what?
He's looking like people that are born like Schwarzenegger. I'm never going to look like that guy. He's born different to the other guy who's like a 4-foot person. You can't compare the two. Elon's brain, bro, that thing is like the Schwarzenegger of brains.
Well, he's pulling from the alternative sector, right? It's all out there. He's just resonating with it, and it's coming through him.
He's
just like Steve Jobs, right? Steve Jobs, think differently.
Yeah.
When he started Apple, that was his motto: think differently.
He was mean though. Apparently,
I don't know. I don't know much about him. All I know is he thought outside the box and he changed our world.
It must be frustrating too if you're that smart, surrounded by people who are not as smart. Like
Only
he still
if you
hires,
pass judgment on others, because I find that in my own world.
I think it's more that it's just, when you're like, they always say you want people of your level around you because that'll help you progress. And when you become the people that are around you. And when you're not in alignment because someone like Jobs or Elon Musk are so visionary, it gets frustrating trying to pull people with you.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's on a pendulum too. Realize that. So people are swinging on his pendulum as well. So you just have to be very aware that you don't hop onto a pendulum without knowing it. And that's what I'm aware of now.
Yeah. What's
Healthcare was a huge pendulum.
Yeah.
Sick care is really what I should call it.
Well, it's a money making machine.
And a
that's
physician is a cog in the wheel.
Because I had Charles Paddy, who does the ketamine treatment I was telling you about, and that was he was saying, he goes, there's all this bullshit coming through with it because yes, it's still early, to a degree. It's not as early as they make it out to be, but why is it you can speed up something that's like a vaccine related, or even not like even something outside of the political part of the vaccine? It's like you can speed up a process because you have research for the last 10 years, but then something that actually has a non-problematic like cure, or at least it unravels a lot of stuff, and it still has 10 years of research, that's not safe.
Well, we become such a society of needing science and research. And what is science and research? It's a lot of data that's run and controlled by very powerful companies, primarily pharmaceutical companies. So that's why the alternative sector of healthcare has been extinguished from our culture since the early 1900s. Because the pharmaceutical companies came in, they took over all the medical schools, they took out everything in the curriculum that had to do with holistic healing. Everything, energetic healing, ozone, oxygen, going outside, just the simple things, right? The simple things.
The worst thing for your health is outside, being around people. Anything that makes you happy is bad for you.
They definitely had a plan to change the narrative from you being in control and power of your health to somebody else controls your health.
Trust the science.
And we became nannies. Physicians became nannies in a nanny system where we take care of people. That's bullshit.
It's because there's more money in that, unfortunately. There's more money in a prolonged issue than there is a short-term fix.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's but I mean, hey,
and since when do I know your body better than you know it?
Some people might not know.
Right.
I've heard some people.
But why is that? Because they've given it up to somebody else.
Yeah. But I mean, as a personal trainer, I remember sometimes people like, I'm in agonizing pain. I'm like, you're fine. You're fine. Get up. Lift that weight one more time. Like it's 10 pounds. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a broken system. I needed to get out. I'm so glad I got out. I don't know if I'll ever go back in. But like I said, I'm not making plans.
It seems like there's a lot of stuff, though, going into regenerating. That stuff seems like it's at least.
Yeah, let me tell you why I got out of that in the last year. So I did it for a year. To be honest with you, the reason I got out of it is I think it's a business. And I think people are profiting from it. And I certainly could have profited from it, but it didn't resonate with my soul to do so. I feel like I have more to offer people than what I can turn a profit on.
So it was the profiting aspect of it that was an issue, or you don't believe in what it does? What is it?
Kind of both.
Okay.
Kind of both. You have to be very, very careful about what pendulum you're getting onto when you get into the regenerative pendulums, right? There was the allopathic conventional healthcare pendulum, and then...
What was allopathic?
Allopathic means you go to a medical school where you learn about pathology, and you don't learn about health necessarily. So we treat disease in allopathic medicine, whereas in holistic medicine, we focus on health and keeping you well so that you can prevent disease. It's a whole different paradigm. It's a different way of thinking. So I had to be careful not to jump on the pendulum of holistic regenerative medicine, which in this past year, I could see that that's where that was going. And once again, like you said, what drives any industry is money. It's a big turnoff for me.
Yeah.
I don't want to have anything to do with it.
Yeah. So like, is there anything in particular with the, like, cause the telomere stuff, like I said at the beginning, it's interested me a lot is, do you believe or agree, not believe, but agree with the like hot cold treatment? Do you agree with the stuff behind that? The oxygenation of the blood, does that resonate with you still?
No.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think they're all great modalities. But let me ask you a question. If you were to be a baby and you were dropped into a society where the majority of people live to be 300 years old, you would probably expect to be living till you're 300, right? But we live in a society where we have set beliefs on age span, health span, lifespan. 80, 90. Gosh, if you're in your 90s, you're going to die soon. You drop these babies into that cultural belief system, and you pretty much have programmed your body to grow, live, and die within that period. So I think we're leaving out a huge portion of health, which is mindset. So I think I might be going into that portion of health.
So you mean like mindset in terms of...
Who says we need to get old?
Well, it's kind of a hard thing to disprove. We definitely... You mean mentally or you mean physically?
Both.
Well, we still... I definitely, like, I know I'm still fucking young, but there's slight changes compared to when I was a 6-year-old. Slight changes. I've also worked my ass off to keep myself young, you know? And there are definitely components of physical and mental pairing. Like I've seen it with so many people. I meet 25-year-olds who have given up on life before, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I am literally just short of a decade older than you, and I'm younger than you in also the physiological way, not just the only thing that's different is just the linear where I'm older than you. There's definitely an expiration date though.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
I'm still, you know, past
what
injuries.
If you expect, though? What if you expect to be well? What if your mind actually tells your cells what to do? What if you can direct your body to work for you instead of working against you? And you do so by mindset.
I have heard about that stuff. Like people meditating and fixing their shit. And I'm just like,
well, Dr. Joe Dispenza's done a lot of research on that.
Yeah, some guy like damaged his back and they're like, you're not going to walk. And he like somehow, he just did intense meditation.
That was Joe Dispenza's story.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And he like somehow imagined piecing shit together and all of a sudden his spine fixed itself.
Yeah. And then he went into neuroscience and now he holds these seminars all over the country and he studies people's brain waves and monitors their health. And
I have to look into that one. I heard someone say that before and I was like, all right, bro.
He's a pretty neat guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's definitely, I agree 100% in terms of focusing on if you think you're getting old, you're going to get older.
Absolutely.
Because again, it's the same as if I think I'm going to be something and I keep focusing on it, your brain wants to figure out, like, because your brain doesn't want to think it's a liar. It has to be true. And I've seen that with a lot of things, you know, with relationships. They believe I'm an asshole, that even if I say sorry genuinely, they have to be like, you still did this. And it's like, okay, I'm sorry for that too. Because they have to attach themselves to that reality that
ego.
You're a dick. And that physically happens as well, where, you know, nocebos, placebos, people
traumas,
believe themselves into being sick and like their kidney fails because they think they took
stored traumas.
That
right?
too.
Our body absorbs the energy of trauma, no matter what it is, emotional, physical, mental. Our bodies store that energy. If you don't know how to get rid of that energy and let it pass through you, guess what? It festers and it becomes dis-ease, becomes disease.
How does someone, I mean, I do meditation. I focus on that. I got to get more into it, but this baby's taking up a little bit more of my free time. But because I know that's how I've resolved a lot of shit too. I told you about my Jasper experience that people have heard about that one. Can't explain it. Had a thing appear in my vision. I'm not going to say what I know what it was because I don't know. Some people I struggle with those ones too. Like, I know this is what happened. I'm like, no, you're perceiving it. But shit, I thought where I was going. Anyway, we'll figure it out. If you believe and you focus on, I've got to be young for, like, my whole thing is I'm going to look 30 when I'm 50. And I want, because I already like people are just like, you're 34. Like I shot the shit with Sid Fernandez the other day.
Are you 34?
Yeah.
I thought you were 25.
Now you just cheat.
No.
I'm 34.
No, I really thought you were 25.
I'll take it. But yeah, no, so I'm 34 and like, because my whole thing, but this is like a vision that I started when I was 18, because, and everyone goes like, you know, you got narcissism, vanity, they all have the negative sides of them. I'm like, I'm a strong believer in, don't bullshit yourself, know what drives you. We're all vain. We're all narcissistic on a different way. It's how you use that determines the output. So my narcissism, all right, I want people to like me. I want people to enjoy being around me. So what do? All right, talk to people, engage, genuinely be interested, you know, like, and listen, whatever the things are. Great, now people like me. My narcissism is fed. And I need to maintain that. And how do I do that? Like, I can only maintain a positive narcissistic like feed by actually providing good shit. The second I'm narcissistic in the selfish spectrum part of it, my narcissism isn't fed. It's actually depleted because no one's giving me attention. So I become, all right, how do I get anything? And then I'm fed temporarily and I'm miserable more often. So leaning into narcissism in one way, I'm constantly fulfilled. Same as vanity. All right, I want to look a certain way. I want to be a certain, physique, feel like I want to feel good as well. Like how I feel healthy wise and all that stuff, that still started at my vanity. All right, I want to have a six pack. I want to do this. Or I want to look, like Brad Pitt Fight Club, like every man ever said in the 90s. But that's what started the progression of, all right, and now I want to look a certain way when I'm 45, 55. People are like, what the fuck? That then lies in, all right, well, I need to fix my eating. I need to stop things that cause stress. I need to stop. My vanity is the reason I'm healthy. And for me to lie about it and be like, I'm not vain, I'm lying to not only everyone else, but myself. And that's going to stop me from feeling a positive way into, the rest of my life. And that's where getting real with yourself is so important, and not putting labels on, I'm not vain. You're all fucking vain. Like, watch someone lose 20 pounds and tell me they don't feel better. Everyone feels better when they look better and healthier.
I feel listening to you that the word vain is almost like an indictment or a judgment. But in actuality, I see it as you're expressing what you really are. So we actually are health. We are everything. We are it. We're God. We're a fractile of all there is. You lack nothing, Blake. You lack nothing. That means your ideal is health, wealth, abundance, and love. Anything that's counter to that is not real. So you pursuing who you really are, which is health, I don't view it as vain. I view it as you being true to yourself.
Yeah. But vanity's what started when I was 18. I was an 18-year-old boy wanting to get laid. and I was like, oh, I don't need to work on my personality. I need to work on my abs. I was a little bit wrong when I was 18. I needed to fix the other part of
it. but that picture came true, right? You created that reality. You created the physique you wanted. I created the body I wanted. I created the face I wanted. We all create our reality. We all do. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what we came here to do. We came here to be co-creators. And when you don't create, you're not being who you really are. So keep creating.
True. That is true. Stacey wants to create more stuff now, and we're trying to figure out a way to give her more time because the babies are a lot of effort. It's a lot of energy. Even if they're cute as shit, it's like I take my hat off to Stacey. She's it's a lot.
Sorry, that's why she's a mother.
Yeah, the amount of times I've walked in and she's just staring at a wall, like you can just like, oh fuck, she's defeated. I'm like, all right, Sienna, now give mom a break. Yeah. So I wanted to circle back as well, just areas because I'm intrigued about the regenerative space. The parts that didn't resonate with you. Was it? Obviously, it's the for-profit part, and that's, expected. Was there any things in that space that, like, the way it was communicated, like what the outcomes were marketed as, was there anything that you didn't believe in and sort of had a struggle with? Yeah?
Yeah, and I think it's because I've had exposure to both sides, right? So Western trained, some Eastern training with acupuncture, and then holistic with the most recent clinic I was at. I've seen a whole picture. And I can tell you from working in the operating room for 30-some years, we've got the best acute healthcare system in the world. You get in a car accident, we're going to fix you up. You get chronic rheumatoid arthritis, we're not going to help you. So it's a matter of having a gatekeeper who can be wise enough to advise a patient on what they should do. Because there isn't an either or. I think there's a both and. And what happens with providers is they get on one pendulum or the other. And they neither will come in the middle and say, well, no, I really do think you need surgery on your shoulder. I think you have a torn labrum, and the only way it's going to get repaired is if you get it surgically reattached. But I would say that to somebody. But there are people who would say, oh, no, don't have surgery. We can just inject stem cells. And, $20,000 later, you still have a torn labrum.
Yeah.
So it was that kind of thing. And it may be because some of these holistic providers have no clue about surgery like I do. I don't know. And some of the modalities that people use to get well, stay well, they can be pricey. Do they help? Yeah, but do they really need to cost that much? I don't really know. I mean, I'm not a business person first. I'm a doctor first, but I do know a bit about business.
Yeah.
And I just didn't feel comfortable with the whole business aspect of helping people get well.
Yeah.
That just didn't resonate with me. But I'm not judging the people who do make a living off of doing that by any means. It's just not what I'm called to.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree because saunas. A sauna is a sauna at the end of the day. So I just went to the gym. I was like, all right, $20 a month. I can go there 8 times a week, 8 times a month if I want to. Or I could go to a place that has a sauna and pay $20 a visit. I was like, fuck that. So yeah, there's definitely a few. And same as an ice bath. There's no ice baths anywhere around here. So I need to buy one. But then buying one as well is only like $500, $600.
Or more.
Some of the crazy ones, yes. But all you really need for an ice bath is, a lie-down freezer put some ice or water in it.
Yeah.
That's
you need
unpleasant.
you need a good source of ice is really all you need, and a bathtub.
Yeah.
That's really all you need. But have you done ice baths?
Yeah, they suck.
They suck, but they're so rejuvenating.
Yeah.
Speaking of your word rejuvenating, I mean, I feel like winter here in Naples is hot cold for me because we don't heat our pool. So it'll get really cold and I'll do a dive into our pool and then I'll jump in the hot shower. But you can't do that past, March.
Yeah. Apparently so, because I know like hot, cold, they go, 170 degrees in a sauna. Then you go into the water, the ice bath. And then if you go back, if you do it like 2 times, you have like some weird trip out.
Yeah.
Like they say it's something similar to some crazy psychedelic shit.
Yes.
Is that safe?
If you have an intact cardiovascular system, yes. You and I could do it, but anybody who doesn't have a flexible metabolic response shouldn't do it.
Gotcha.
Because if you have any kind of heart disease or any kind of inflexibility of your blood vessels, you won't adapt and you'll probably have a stroke or a heart attack. So it's not for everybody, but for people like you and I, it's really rejuvenating because what it's actually doing is it's causing us to be metabolically more flexible. It's causing those blood vessels to open and close really quickly and maintain our blood pressure so that we don't just pass out.
Yeah.
Because that's what the body always tries to do. The body always tries to keep us in homeostasis. Some people are better at it than others based on our conditioning. So you're well conditioned. I'd like to think I'm well conditioned so that we can go to the extremes and still come back to the middle pretty quickly.
Okay.
And then on a tissue level, what hot cold does is it shocks the mitochondria. So when your baby was born, your baby had a lot of brown fat on her.
Yeah.
Brown fat is brown. Do you know why it's brown?
I don't know why it's brown, but I know it's responsible for our metabolic, regulation.
Brown fat is brown because of the number of mitochondria.
Okay.
So your baby was chocked full of mitochondria. The reason she was because your wife didn't produce milk for 24 to 48 hours. So your baby was in ketosis for the first 48 hours of her life. So we have this evolutionary response to that when we're born. We don't need to eat right away. We're going to go directly into ketosis and we're going to burn our brown fat. So as an adult, if you can get yourself some more brown fat on your body, now you're more metabolically flexible. So you go into ketosis and you burn that brown fat.
And so is that predominantly from cold shock therapy? Yeah.
That really accelerates mitochondrial growth.
Yeah. I need to do more of that. It's just the showers here in Florida are not cold. I get into them. I'm like, this is lovely. Then I go to West Virginia and I'm like, I turn into a little bitch. Like, I can't take it in West Virginia. Because I want to get back into the ice baths. It's just the problem is it's Florida.
It is a little difficult.
I do the sauna, 170 degrees for 20 minutes, depending on, so the other day I was at 150 and I was just like, what is this shit? This is so easy. I do that also for the meditative space. It's a head game. Just like, I love anything that just makes me just mentally want to just cry.
Yeah, I do too. I'm the same way. You push yourself to the limit.
Yeah, but it's also like noticing how quickly those excuses come in. I get a bit anxious. And I'm like, dude, you've done this how many times before? Why are you playing mind games with yourself?
I know.
So I love that part because I'm like, all right, regulate those thoughts. But on a physiological level, what are the benefits of 170 degrees for 20 minutes in a sauna?
Detox. It's basically sweating.
Okay.
So when you get your body up to that kind of temperature, your heart rate just reflexively goes up. So you're basically working out without moving your muscles.
Gotcha.
So you're having a parasympathetic response in your body, which is you're relaxed, but the sympathetic part of you is ready to go.
Yeah.
Ready to fight. But the mental part of you is sitting there chill.
Okay. That makes sense. Because I always feel like, it's funny, ever since I've gotten consistent with saunas, and consistent once a week. I'd love to do more, but
I have one in my house. You can get an in-home one. They're not expensive.
I want to. I'm staying at the in-laws' house at the moment. Like, Stacey and I have tried to get an ice bath. No. Sauna. No. So that, because otherwise I'd be doing it way more. And they're they're like, what, $1,500?
Reasonable. I got mine from Costco for $1,000.
Costco? Interesting. Maybe I'll do that. The in-laws love Costco.
Who doesn't in Naples?
So, because that's what I'd love to. And because I've never done the transition as well. Like, I've never gone from heat to cold. Stacey has. She did 13 minutes in the ice bath or something. Something abnormally just stupid. It was up there. I was like, Ben, I think they told her to get out because I'm more worried. And she's like, I'm going. She was around like one of her, not idols, but someone she really looked up to. And the thing with Stacey is, it's the opposite when she's with me. If I'm like, come on, she's like, don't pressure me. She's like, fuck off. She doesn't swear. But it's the opposite. If I'm supportive, I'm pressuring her. If I'm not supportive, I'm not supportive. I'm like, it's a lose-lose. But then when it's someone like that, dude, her brain just switches on. I'm just like, get in front of those people more often because you just go. You know, like then she came back to Australia, this was a couple of years ago, and then we did an ice bath together. I mean, I tapped out in like a minute 20. She tapped out in minute 30, and she was like, what was that? I was like, I don't know. But again, like she knows that the external motivates her currently. And we're all like that. When I'm at the gym, I train a lot more different to when there's certain types of people at the gym. Or if there's no one, I struggle. If there's, even when I was single, and even kind of now, it's just men. If there's a good looking woman, I'm not going to talk to him. I'm not going to even approach him. I have zero interest in going up to this attractive girl. I train a little bit harder. Like, what the fuck is that? But
it's your animal brain.
Yeah.
It's the midbrain kicking in. Yeah,
I've joked with Stace. I'm just like, I know this is a weird idea. Can I just have some good looking women at the gym just so I can train better? She's like, you serious? I'm like, look, I come home to you anyway. I just need Red Bull doesn't do it for me anymore. I need the primal instinct to motivate me, and then I'll come home to you. She was like, I'll think about it. I was like, good, now we need to find attractive women. But again, it's knowing what motivates you and how to manipulate it into your beneficial output. But yeah, I really need an ice bath now. You've motivated me.
Yeah, I do too. I actually need to.
They're not that bad. You can
take a break.
Huh?
I need to take a break.
Oh, you need to take a break. We're actually, that's an hour 40.
Okay.
So we can wrap it.
Okay.
And you're not the first person. The amount of time we've wrapped up the podcast, I'm like, I need a pee so bad.
Yeah. Well, it's the liquid death.
Liquid death. It murders your bladder.
Bladder death.
Bladder death. All right. So no one needs to really even contact you. Normally I go, how can they contact you? But you are a free woman.
Don't contact me.
Don't contact Lisa, guys. Enjoy the conversation.
You can go on my Instagram or Facebook because I'm going to have you
what's your
do
Instagram?
A little thing for me and
okay.
Put it on there.
Heck yeah.
Because I figured this is a really good way for me to say my sayonara to everybody without telling everybody I'm out. It can be on my Instagram or Facebook that I'm out. I'm writing the next chapter.
Yeah.
So when I wrote the letter to all my patients in this past practice I was at that I'm leaving, I think I ended it saying, follow your heart. It's time for me to follow my heart. Time for me to write the next chapter. So I figure if I could put this edited video on my
I'll have
Instagram.
an hour and 45 of unfiltered.
Yeah, but you're going to definitely want to edit me.
No.
Isn't that what I pay you for, though?
You can buy the little clips. Yeah. Those ones. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to get.
They've also got the whole podcast, though.
Oh, God.
Yeah. That's the beauty of this, though. Like, I think...
Very extemporaneous then, huh?
I don't know what that means. See, you're saying words, but it doesn't mean anything to me.
It means it's very impromptu.
Okay. Why didn't you say that?
Extemporaneous? You don't know what extemporaneous speaking is?
Clearly I don't.
God, we had to learn that in high school, in speech class.
You went to a smarter school than me, apparently.
I went to public school.
Okay. I should have learnt it then. I went to a private school. I was one of those guys.
Oh.
Yeah. I
So-
heard your condescending oh then. Oh.
So you're going to put this into clips for me, and then I'm going to put
Absolutely.
it on my Instagram, which is EmergeMD.
Emerge MD. I like that.
Yeah, it's reflective of my awakening process in 2019. It was emerging from a sleep.
Cool. I like it. And then I'm going to see you in Bali. I'm going to see you in Australia, India. I feel like India is a place you've been to India before though.
Well, my parents are from India. I plan on taking a trip back there to the homeland.
Yeah. The homeland. All right. Well, Lisa, awesome to sit down, chat. This is probably not even the longest conversation we had at the networking event we met. I was just like, I'm really chewing this lady's ear off. I need to leave her alone.
Well, I love to listen.
Okay, good. Well, you did a good job. All right. Well, cool, guys. If you're still listening, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification, and yeah, I'll see you good looking people later. Thanks again, Lisa.
Ciao.
Bye.
That was fun.